everyone, this is Lisa Haven, and I've got some important information to share with you today. And that is this: over 626 politicians, leaders, state officials came and approached Obama, or sent a letter in the form of a letter to President Obama expressing their concern over his latest climate initiative called the Clean Power Plan. Now, I've gone over Obama's Clean Power Plan in a prior report, which I'm going to show you just a piece of that again, but I'm excited to report that these officials are standing in stark opposition to exactly what Obama wants to do, and they are portraying the real agenda, so to speak, in this letter, and how the effects will really impact America. While Obama is claiming that this plan would save jobs and save cost on our electricity, his 626 opponents, however, claim just the opposite. Now, I'm going to get into some great information as we delve through this, but what I want you to keep in mind is America has 30, and I'm going to refer to my notes here, but 39% of our energy comes from our coal. And this is something that Obama basically wants to eliminate. The other 27% comes from natural gas, 19 from nuclear, 6 from hydroelectric, and the other 7% from our renewable resources, our solar, our wind power, and that's where the majority of it comes from. Now, what these leaders had to say to Obama, well, let's just get into that letter so you can see it for yourself. Okay, so here we are at coalblue.org. This is the action plan sent by the state officials, 626 of them, as you can see, specifically addressed to President Barack Insane Obama. But it says, "Dear Mr. President, as Democrats committed to a prosperous America and a healthy environment, we believe the U.S. has a unique opportunity to lead the world in addressing the global climate change, and yet do so as we must without unduly burdening the American economy or the American people." In other words, what he has planned for the American people will absolutely stress them out and also stretch out the economy. Now, in case you haven't seen, this is to what they are referring to. This is on the whitehouse.gov, and I will leave a link to it, but it's the climate change and President Obama's action plan to put his carbon pollution to rest and initiate his Clean Power Initiative by 2030. And just a recap on that, the Clean Power Plan sets achievable standards to reduce carbon dioxide emissions by 32% from the year 2005 to the year 2030. By setting these goals and enabling states to create a tailored plan that meets them. Here's what he says the plan will do. It will protect the health of the American families. How? Well, these are things that it'll prevent heart attacks, asthma, yada, yada. He says it will boost our economy. Now, that is a big fat joke, and I want to laugh when I read that. And so did the 626 state officials laugh as well. And I'm going to actually show you statistics in a moment on that as well, but leading to 30% more renewable energy generation in 2030, creating tens of thousands of jobs. Don't worry, we won't lose any. Wink, wink. Continue to lower the cost of renewable energy. Continue to lower it because it's very high. Oh, and don't worry, it's going to save the American family $85 a year on energy bills in 2030, probably because you'll be freezing your butt off and have to use less power and electricity. Save enough energy to power 30 million homes in 2030. Save consumers $155 billion. Wow, we're going to save a lot of money. Wink, wink. I just want to laugh at that. But let's go to this letter, and then we're going to go to the statistics. Let's read on. Let me fix the screen here. All right, moving on. To lead means more than simply being the first to act. It means getting others to follow. Seizing the opportunity before us requires the adoption of environmental and energy policies that will not only meet with broad support at home, but endanger the international community, industrialized and developing nations alike to follow our lead. American leadership must therefore be built upon an understanding of the realities of global energy supply and demand, the role that multiple forms of government, including coal, which we know Obama wants to eliminate, will play in the world's energy future for many decades to come, and the imperative of accelerated energy innovation. American leaders must also be built upon an understanding of sustainable energy is more than just clean energy, and that in our pursuit of clean energy, we cannot lose sight of the predominant importance at home and abroad of energy, affordability, and reliability. Let me pause. In other words, Obama's renewable energy plan does not give us affordability, and it does not give us reliability. We know, according to Obama himself, that our energy prices will necessarily skyrocket. Those are from the mouth of our commander-in-chief. And let me just make a quick note here. I believe global warming is a fraud. I believe this whole Agenda 21 issue is... it's a fraud. It's a farce. It's nothing but a made-up thing, a means to an end. Now, with that in mind, the reason that I wanted to show you this letter specifically, because, hey, at least they're trying to stop some of the craziness that is going on in our world. So I just want to make that point. Many of you viewers at home know I think global warming's a lie and a fraud. Global cooling, global warming, climate change. Now they have it just generalized because climate does change naturally. But anyway, it's a fraud. But I want to show you this because at least they're standing against some of the atrocities that Obama wants to do. Just some. But it goes on to say, disconcertingly, the current direction of the U.S. policy underscored by recent decisions of the U.S. EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, regarding new and existing electrical power plants falls short of these critical benchmarks. It falls short of affordability and reliability. In our view, it requires serious re-evaluation and adjustment. Amen. In sharing these concerns with you, Obama, please know that we do so not on behalf of any industry or special interest group, but on behalf of the American people we represent in elected office and as leaders within the Democratic Party. Despite the significant steps being taken in the U.S. and across the globe to conserve energy through greater efficiency, the world will nonetheless consume even greater amounts of energy in the decades to come. And coal will, without question, be a critical part of our future energy supply. Globally, coal is the fastest growing fuel of the 21st century. Remember, coal powers 39% of our energy. Just adding that in there. They go on to say that the nations of the developing world, globally, coal is the fastest growing fuel of the 21st century. Even as its growth slows relative to other fuels, coal will remain a major power source energy for decades. The world's third largest fuel source in 2040 in the climate stabilizing 450 scenario of the International Energy Agency, or the IEA. The nations of developing countries of the world are starving for affordability and reliable energy that will enable the economics to grow and their citizens to prosper. With so much of their growth fueled by cost and other fossil fuels, it is in the developing world where the carbon challenge will be won or lost, with success hinging on our ability to imagine the carbon in coal and natural gas, not thinking or hoping we can simply wish it away. There is no path to a clean, low-carbon world without clean, low-carbon coal. They go on to say, looking beyond conservation and efficiency, we must focus our efforts on the development and the use of truly sustainable, abundant, affordable, reliable, and clean energy. At present, no source of energy meets all four elements of sustainability. For that reason, the U.S. must ignite an era of energy innovation, working to make clean those electrons that are today affordable and reliable, and make affordable and reliable those electrons that are relatively clean. Unfortunately, current policies are overwhelmingly skewed towards the later, which means they're clean, but they're not reliable or affordable or abundant for the American people. This imbalance is seriously failing that demands immediate attention. More than talk about policy, we must make it real. Now, skipping down a little bit, I don't want to read every dot and tittle to you, but I think it's all kind of important. It says the American people will object to things that are really high in cost and not giving much reliability. And other nations of the world won't follow us here in America if the path that we chart is one of more expense and less reliable energy. True leadership requires the pursuit of policies that will make all forms of clean energy less expensive, be they renewable or fossil-based, and as reliable as current baseload coal-fired generations. Unfortunately, the EPA's recent published rules for new and existing electrical generation units severely missed the mark in many important regards. Taken together, they endanger the continued development of critical carbon mitigating technologies necessary to achieve sustainability, threaten the reliability of the power grid, and place significant economic burdens on the American economy and the people in the form of higher energy costs and potential less reliable electrical grid without achieving any meaningful reductions in carbon CO2 emissions. Scrolling down just a bit here, and you can come and read some of this on your own. There is other good info in here, but it says, moreover, raising the cost of energy in the U.S. will lead to a transfer of economic activity and jobs from the U.S. to other nations. Okay? I think that, again, can also play into their goal to make America more of a third world nation here. Raise them up here in America is obviously going to make us more poor. But it goes on to say, many of which generate electricity less efficiency and with far higher rates of CO2 emissions. In such instances, this carbon leakage will actually result in a net increase in global CO2 emissions. All the while our constituents will be paying a very real economic price at home. At home. So very, very clear there. But here is just all the names here. You can actually come through this and scroll through all of the names as well to check that out. So there you have it, 626 state and local officials telling Obama something he, quite frankly, doesn't want to hear. But really, really needs to. Now, here's the thing. In a nutshell, we are going to about double, if not more, our energy bill. And on top of that, don't worry, we're going to be saving or limiting global warming, get this, by a whopping, and this is according to a statistic, I'm going to link it below, 0.02%. Yay for us. Pat on the back. It's all a fraud anyway. Yeah, that was very sarcastic. Now, let me show you also as well some quick statistics that you're going to find interesting. All right, now this is on energyxxi.org. And this is the truth, guys. This is really the agenda here. How will EPA's potential carbon regulations impact America? Here is the math on what Obama wants to do. I love math. I think this is something that we can look at. But here are some of the things the EPA is proposing, Obama is opposing, and here is what's going to happen as a result on that. Less economic growth. With these potential new EPA regulations, America's economy will lose opportunities for growth, for potential gross domestic product, and could face an average of over $50 billion in lost investments every year between now and 2030. That's one. Higher electricity costs, but don't worry, Obama tells us they will not. And then he tells us they will. And then his initiative says one thing and his voice says another. Yeah, he's been known to lie often. America's used electricity from everything, from TV to smartphones to electrical power to cars. As a result, these new regulations would cost an increase of $289 billion by 2030. Okay, less employment. Many Americans are still out of work and underemployed as a result of what's happening in our economy, our recession. With these potential new EPA regulations, an average of 224,000 jobs could be lost every year between now and 2030. But don't worry, Obama says we will not lose jobs. Let me get the screen right here. Others, reduced household disposable income. Every household in America could loss, or an average U.S. household could lose $586 billion by 2030. And last but not least, increased compliance cost. Electricity providers themselves could need to pay nearly $408 billion just to comply in compliance costs by 2030, an average of $28 billion per year. And guess who gets the bill on that? Those running the businesses aren't going to put that in their pockets. They're going to pass that bill, that compliance bill, on to you and me. Overall, global carbon emissions are projected to rise 31% between 2011 and 2013. As a result of these regulations, global carbon emissions will now only be reduced to a whopping 1.8%. So there you have it. 626 state officials and Energy21.org, or Energy for the 21st Century, that gives actual statistics, all disagree with Obama's claim that his initiative will save the planet. Because they foresee more of a doom and gloom outcome versus just clean energy. But you see, Obama has an agenda. Many in the government do. A global agenda. They want to bring America down to more of a third world country. If our energy prices start to skyrocket and, we are losing jobs here domestically, then that fits into his agenda. I don't see Obama or any other puppet that's been in political office in our government at this time making our nation better. I see our debt rising. I see our country getting worse. I see things progressing. I see our freedoms being lost. I see us being on this massive surveillance grill. I see kids in our schools, in our public school system, getting brainwashed. In our colleges, they're getting brainwashed to manipulate and think on this progressive, Marxist, theological mindset. And that, my friends, is sadly where we're headed. And that is exactly what Obama wants to push with this initiative. But I am thankful for those people who are standing against him at this moment with that letter. Anyhow, wanted to bring all that to you. This is Lisa Haven signing off. If you liked what you saw, don't forget to hit that big subscribe button now and follow my channel. I've got lots of great information, and follow everything that's going on in global news reports all across the world, conspiracies, Bible prophecy, and the like, or I like to call conspiracy fact. Now, if you're not prepared with food and water, now is the time to do that. Now, I actually have a partner that I work with, or I have a partnership with foodforliberty.com, and they are a great source to get food from. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave a link below, but that's foodforliberty.com/Haven. Again, that's foodforliberty.com/Haven. And they're a great source, a trusted source that I personally use as my food source. Anyhow, subscribe and check out my channel. Thanks for stopping by.